What's up, Tailgaters? A year in the booth with Tailgate Nate today, and the road to predict all 136 FBS level college football teams this summer is almost concluded. We are on to Hattiesburg, Mississippi. The Southern Miss Golden Eagles have a surprise new head coach this year and a lot of talent to help try to turn around what was one of the worst teams in college football last year. My name is Nate Bobe, otherwise known as Tailgate Nate. Thank you all so much for clicking on the video, and of course, most importantly, for helping to support the channel. You want to support me and the channel further in any way that you can? Well, go down below, hit that subscribe button, support the channel. You can also ring the bell so you know when videos get uploaded, because turning on notifications means that you won't miss a video during the rest of prediction and during the college football season. I am also a sports media graduate delving into the professional world of the industry, and if all of you want to see the cool stuff I get to do while still being up to date on what goes on this very YouTube channel, then please give me a follow at TailgateNate29 on Twitter, Instagram, and please feel free to even email me, tailgatenate29@gmail.com. Now, lastly, I want to thank all of you so much for supporting and interacting with me in the channel, whatever way you may be doing so yet again. But with all that said and done and out of the way, let's get into talking about the Golden Eagles this year and a surprise new head coach. After making the Sun Belt Championship game, Charles Huff is switching divisions. He was at Marshall last year and now is going over to the Sun Belt West with this Golden Eagle team. A major surprise, and it really was not a surprise that Southern Miss fired Will Hall after some of the expectations and a lot of the talent that he had to deal with. He did not perform up to what a lot of Golden Eagle fans thought should have been the standard, especially last season when they were at the depths of college football. However, this year, there is so much room for optimism. You got a proven head coach who just went and made the conference title game in the same conference that you're in. The transfer portal is bringing in so many pieces. A lot of optimism at Southern Miss, but is there going to be a growing process here? We're going to find out in this video. Hey, but how do we do preview predictions here on the channel? Well, we are going to go through a roster overview where the offense is here on the left, the defense is here on the right, and then at the end of the video, we will dive on into the Golden Eagle football schedule, where I will give it a game-by-game preview and prediction. And this video overall is here to tell all of you what I think about the Golden Eagles here in 2025. Now, before we do get started, you take a look over here. Actually, I lied. You take a look down below me. Returning production numbers are according to ESPN, and they factor in portal additions up to a certain percentage, but it is a very low percentage. Right down below that, your recruiting and transfer portal ranks for the class of 2025 are both according to 24/7 Sports. And just a little bit of a heads up, I know what these two numbers say down here. It is going to feel like the offensive and defensive returning production numbers should be flip-flopped here when I start talking about this roster. So, okay, let's start talking about your offense. And your offensive coordinator, by the way, is going to be Blake Anderson. Now, if that name Blake Anderson does not sound familiar, or maybe it sounds too familiar, saying there are a lot of people named Blake Anderson, what's the big deal? He was the Utah State head coach from 2021 to 2023, obviously got in a little bit of trouble there, was out of coaching in 2024, but Charles Huff has brought him back to be the OC and the quarterback coach here in 2025, and I think he can provide some really nice things to this offense that, look, despite what that 55% returning production number is going to tell you, this offense is going to be overhauled this season. Pretty much everything offensively is going to be new. In fact, what I know is that you're only going to have one returning starter that's going to have a big impact on this team for this season. So let's take a look at the quarterback room. Again, revamped by the transfer portal. Braylon Braxton. He was at Marshall last season, and he is going to project to be that starting quarterback. 1,624 yards with a 62.8 QBR on 60% completion percentage. Here's his touchdown to interception ratio. It's really good. 19 touchdowns, 2 interceptions last year. Braylon Braxton was a really good quarterback for the Thundering Herd last year. A big reason why at times when he played quarterback, this Marshall team was clicking offensively and they made the conference championship game. But man, Braylon Braxton has seen a lot more time than just at Marshall. Had a pretty good stint in 2022 over with the Tulsa Golden Hurricane, 1,133 yards. 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions over there at Tulsa. And I mean, you just take a look overall as well at his rushing ability. Had 5 rushing touchdowns with the Golden Hurricane in 2022, but last year at Marshall took it to a level that we haven't seen Braylon Braxton do throughout the course of the rest of his collegiate career. 610 yards and 610 yards and 4 touchdowns last season for Braylon Braxton. 4.6 yards per carry. That is including sack yardage as well, ladies and gentlemen. So Braylon Braxton, I think, going to be a phenomenal weapon here to fill in for the quarterback inconsistency and really downright quarterback atrocity that you had throughout points of last season, especially when Tate Rodemaker was not the guy playing quarterback. He is going to have some competition here, as there are some other pieces that transfer in, like Jacoby Robinson, Landry Liddy, and some others, but to me, it's hard to see Braylon Braxton not being that starting quarterback here in 2025. Running back stable is going to have entirely new faces through the portal and guys that have seen some good playing time elsewhere. Robert Briggs is transferring over from Utah State, 420 yards and a pair of touchdowns with the Aggies in 2023. You're also going to be getting in Matt Jones, who is over from Ole Miss, 226 yards, 3 touchdowns last year. Not bad for Matt Jones. And then Jeffrey Pittman is over from Mississippi State, where he didn't really play a lot last year, but in 2023, this was not with the community college. I believe this was still with the Mississippi State Bulldogs. He is also formerly of Hines Community College, but 268 yards and a touchdown back in 2023, where he averaged 5 yards per carry. So that's already 3 deep in the running back room, and I still haven't mentioned every piece that they brought in. Tyrese Weeks, Josiah Baston, and you could throw in some other names in there as well. However, those first 3 guys I talked about probably going to end up being your lead options here. Your entirety of the wide receiver 2 deep is going to come in through the transfer portal, and most guys are going to come from Marshall. Carl Chester, Elijah Metcalf, Chuck Montgomery, Braylon Brown. All of those guys are following Charles Huff from the Thundering Herd into this Golden Eagle program. There are 2 guys, however, that don't. Coming over from Ole Miss is Micah Davis. He's also a former Utah State, Iowa Western Community College transfer. So the reason you're seeing these Utah State transfers, that's the Blake Anderson connection, baby. And back with the Aggies in 2023, 628 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, would you take a look at that? I think he's going to be a big piece to the passing unit this year. And then Grant Page is another Utah State transfer, 281 yards and a pair of touchdowns for him last season. So you take a look. By the way, your lone returning starter in Kieran Heath. Hopefully I pronounced that name correctly. He is that lone returning starter that's going to play a massive role in the offense this year. He is coming back to be your lead tight end, as well as guys like Caden Morris and TJ Johnson that enter through the transfer portal. What's more, starting offensive line. All right, let's talk about it. It is all hailing from the transfer portal. You have an entirely new starting offensive unit. Again, guys, ourlads.com. Yellow means transfer. That is a lot of yellow. So when you take a look at this Ole Miss offensive unit, right? It's a team that's going to have a lot of overhaul. But, man, coupled with the guys that are following Charles Huff over from Marshall, the guys that are now rejoining Blake Anderson from Utah State, their former head coach, this is an offense that can see an exceptionally high ceiling. It's got a lot of really good competition here, a lot of really good competing pieces, and this is a team that, at the very least, offensively, is going to take a massive step forward here in 2025. At least it has the potential to. Now let's take a look at your defensive coordinator. Let's talk about Jason Seymour and what he has got. The secondary last year was not spectacular, but it was decent enough. I mean, man, this front line, though, was a mess last season. This defensive front couldn't defend anything worth their weight. They were not very good at all. And this was a Southern Miss team that I think overall really struggled last year because of the defensive inability to be able to get a consistent pass rush, slow down this run game. And again, the secondary at times had moments of lapse there as well. However, even though I just spoke ill of the defensive line, you get two massive returning pieces, and they are the Lewises. I do not know if they are related. I would imagine so, but Brodarius and Jameer Lewis, an interior and exterior defensive lineman, are both returning to this team. So that is a massive get back for the defensive unit. Getting those two guys to come back, one on the interior, one on the exterior, as really experienced and overall really good players, I think they're going to pair very well with some of the transfers they brought in. Now, most of the transfers are going to end up playing depth positions. They're going to be in that two deep. Okay, fine. The one guy that's probably not is, you guessed it, a Marshall transfer. 29 tackles, 6 quarterback hurries for Isaiah Gibson last season. Very big part to that Thundering Herd defense. Should be over here with the Golden Eagles. When you take a look at your linebacking unit, despite some important losses, your linebacker room does return Chris Jones, who I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, I'll fact check myself. Okay, I was going to say leading tackler. I would have been wrong. So some important losses were Trey Pinckney, who was the leading tackler last year, but Chris Jones was your second leading tackler last year with 46 tackles, 1 sack, did have an interception, and forced 2 fumbles for the Golden Eagle defense. He's going to be still having a talented room around him. The most notable guy, a Portland State transfer, Michael Montgomery. Oh boy, I'll get heat for that one. I apologize profusely for that inexcusable typo. It is Michael Montgomery, not Miles Montgomery. Believe he was a former lineman, linebacker with Louisville and Ole Miss not too long ago, so maybe that's why that was in my head. Nope, it is Michael Montgomery, and he is coming over from Portland State, where again, he was a really good linebacker over there with the Pilots, I believe is that nickname. So you still got some solid pieces here in the linebacking room, and Chris Jones, only a true sophomore. So as a freshman last year to do that, pretty darn special, and will be a big piece to the defense this season. Secondary, though, it is the unit that is going to see by far and away the most overturn, because you do have some other depth pieces that return in the linebacking room that will be solid for you this year. The secondary, pretty much going to be all new, and the mainstays and the starters in the secondary are all going to be replaced. Brendan Tolles is a big returner that does come back, but he did not play a very substantial part in the defense last year, and will now be a redshirt senior that comes back and plays corner for you. Josh Battle, Amir Foster, Josh Moten, Ian Foster, and so many other really productive players are going to be entering in through the transfer portal. When you talk about special teams, it's going to be vastly different as well. You guessed it, because of the transfer portal. So same sort of story with the offense, right? The offense, while it does get a good piece back in Kyrian Heath, overall, a lot of portal pieces that are going to have to fit in, and I think will work out well. Defensively, it is the same sort of thing, right? But on the defensive side, you have to throw in the fact that there are a lot of nice returning pieces as well. The Lewis, the brothers, I'm going to assume, I do not know if that is 100% correct, but again, you do have Brodarius and Jameer Lewis up there. Chris Jones coming back as a huge important linebacker piece, and you just get some really good transfers in through the portal in the secondary. Ian Foster had 48 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 4 passes defended last year at Marshall. Josh Moten, same thing at Marshall. 5 interceptions over there. Amir Foster, you guessed it, with Marshall. Really good safety. Josh Battle, you guessed it, good safety. However, not from Marshall, over from Chattanooga. I mean, just the quality of transfers that this team is bringing in, I think is what really could help set them apart. However, with this Southern Miss program, even with the entire portal overhaul, could this still be a year where you see some struggles in competition this season? Right over here is your 2025 football schedule. Or actually, I'm not going to say anything, because that applies to what's right below me. So we'll give you a second. Take a look at the 2025 schedule. It does have a lot of tricky games on it, but we'll save the prediction for a little bit. You're going to see my full breakdown in a second. And right down below me are the odds courtesy of FanDuel. These just tell you, like, hey, this is their odds to go win the conference, get into the playoff, over, under, win total, everything of that nature. They are current as of recording this video, and as always, are subject to change. So you look down at those numbers. Hey, they don't have 10,000 odds, which is the highest number you can get to reach the college football playoff on FanDuel. So they already have a much better shot than a lot of other teams. 5.5 is that over-under win total. And I think that's a very reasonable and understandable number with the way that Charles Huff has proven himself as a head coach. And with all the talent that you bring in, I think the expectation level should already be pretty high with this Southern Miss program. I will tell you right now, the way that I have this Southern Miss schedule working out this year, it does not equate to that many wins. But let's predict the schedule rather quickly, and then I will talk about why I have it predicted that way. So, first game against Mississippi State. Look, I know it is an SEC team. You could not pick an SEC team to be better placed for you on the schedule than Mississippi State. That is the one team out of the SEC that you're probably looking at and thinking, well, they really don't have much of a shot to do anything special this season. Mississippi State, while they have a lot of really good, in times high-level talent, or I should say in regions, high-level talent, this is just a program that I do not think is going to be that great of a team this season. However, that being said, you're talking about SEC level talent still. Again, there are some really good pieces over there, and a team that is trying to build up, right? And is trying to build and fit in everything through the portal, adjust to a new head coach with some of these returning pieces, right? And albeit, look, this is a game that Southern Miss does also get at home. So the upset factor here, I think, is actually a lot bigger than some people may realize. This is definitely a Southern Miss team getting this game at home that could have a massive opportunity in front of them. I think they come up short. You're comparing and look, I'm a big proponent of, there are a lot of group of 5 teams that can rival the talent level and ability of some of these Power 4 schools. Mississippi State, you're talking about the SEC here. And even though they might be the bottom team in the SEC again this year, they're still going to be a team that's going to be a pretty darn talented one. I think they get the better of Southern Miss here, and I think Southern Miss starts out 1-1 because you should be able to run through and beat Jackson State. So now comes a lot of the interesting games here, right? You got to start your Sun Belt schedule pretty early, and you're playing the App State Mountaineers. Now, this is just simply a fascinating game. App State is losing a lot of pieces from last season. They are replacing a lot of pieces, including Joey Aguilar at quarterback, some really good wide receiver and defensive pieces, and they're getting a new head coach. However, I think Dowell Loggins is going to be built very well and is going to build this team well. They still have some good solid pieces at the quarterback position. I believe most notably his name is AJ Swan. And regardless, I think he's going to be a really solid quarterback for the team this year. And App State still has got Kanye Roberts, a lot of pieces that I think can get through this Southern Miss defensive unit. So I do think App State comes on the road and is able to get this win. 3 straight home games to start off the season, and you go 1-2. Again, I told you, Golden Eagle fans, you're probably not going to like what I have to say. This is very much so a case of Southern Miss just needing to adjust to everything here early on, right? But you move forward in the schedule, you got some games against Conference USA opponents that you're looking at and saying, okay, we can hang with these guys. However, this is a do or die year for Louisiana Tech, and I think they're going to be a team that has, again, another pretty lofty, high expectation bar, ceiling, whatever it is you want to call it. Sonny Coombe has got to get it figured out with the Bulldogs this year, and they do have a lot of nice returning pieces I do like, both offensively and defensively, so I'll pick them to beat Southern Miss. And Jacksonville State, yet again, another very interesting one when it comes to predicting the result against Southern Miss. Jacksonville State loses everybody from last season, and they also have a head coach that has never been a head coach before, in Charles Kelly. All of that being said, however, I still think Jacksonville State is going to be one of the more talented teams in Conference USA. This is a Jacksonville State team that when I look at it, I think still has a lot of good, solid talent on it. And Charles Kelly did not walk into a mess. Rich Rod did not leave this program and left a pile of trash. He left a pretty nice, upstanding house that is move-in ready, and you got all your furniture still sitting out there on the lawn, and it's ready to be moved into. Jacksonville State as a program is still in a very good place. It's got a lot of nice features, meaning the talent and players. Jacksonville State, I think, is still going to be well off this year, and I do think that's going to be a win for the Gamecocks, meaning it's a loss for the Golden Eagles. After bye week, you have to go on the road and play Georgia Southern, and even though this is a Southern Miss team that greatly improved their talent level from last year, Georgia Southern is just, quite frankly, going to be a really hard team to beat here this upcoming season. Georgia Southern is very much so a team coached by Clay Helton that is going to have that dynamic passing attack that I think is really going to hurt this Southern Miss secondary. Even though it is vastly improved in the talent standpoint this season, Georgia Southern is just quite simply a team that I just kind of like what they got a little bit better, especially in terms of being able to beat this Southern Miss team. They've been, winning at a pretty high level under Clay Helton for a couple years now. They're looking to take that next step. Yes, absolutely. Get into a Sun Belt Conference championship game, be one of the best teams in the conference, so on and so forth. They got some good pieces. I think they take it to Southern Miss and they win that game. Louisiana is another one. I mean, if you want to pick a team out of the Sun Belt to really emerge and be a really good side this year, it really can be none better than the team that won the conference last season in Louisiana. Even with all you lost, you still got your top two running back pieces, Zylan Perry and Bill Davis. Walker Howard is going to be coming in, playing quarterback for you. It'll be his first time in a full-time major starting role. You have some good wide receiver pieces still there. Defensively, I think you're going to have one of the better secondaries in the Sun Belt Conference, especially led by that free safety and Tyree Skipper. Louisiana is going to be a really good team, and they're going to be one of the front runners here in the Sun Belt West yet again this year. ULM, I think, can see some improvements this year, and after your second bye week of the season, well, I actually do think that Southern Miss is going to be able to get this one done and get this win. ULM just doesn't blow me away with a lot of the talent that they do have, and this is a Southern Miss team that when you look at it, you can say, okay, this is very much so a Southern Miss team that you look at and say, wow, there's some pieces here that you look at and say, wow, that's a really, really impressive player. With ULM, I don't feel that. Maybe in a couple of different aspects, but overall, ULM is just a team that feels a little underwhelming to me, and maybe they make some steps and some strides this year. I overall don't see it. I think Southern Miss beats them. They get their second win of the season. Then this 3-game stretch right here, guys. It is brutal. On the road against Arkansas State. Good luck defending this three-headed monster. Quarterback Jalen Rayner, running back Jaquez Cross, and wide receiver in Corey Rucker, among many other talented skill position players. And while the Red Wolf defense needs to take a step in the right direction, if this Southern Miss defensive front, and you can say this about a lot of teams that they're going to play this year, Jacksonville State, Louisiana, Louisiana Tech, even Mississippi State, if they don't take a step forward in trench play, and if they cannot improve that side of that aspect of their football team this year, there are going to be a lot of games that I think are going to get out of hand if they can't protect the quarterback, if they can't rush the quarterback, if they can't defend the run. Arkansas State is one of those games. So is Texas State. Now, I was a lot higher on Texas State last year than I am this year. Because, well, you take a look at what Texas State is doing, though. I still like what G.J. Kinney is going to be doing with this Texas State team. The reason I'm not as high on them last year as I am this year, I said that wrong. The reason I am not as high on Texas State this year, you did lose a really good quarterback in Jordan McLeod. You did lose a really good running back in Ismail Mahdi, who I think was exceptionally good, as well as some good defensive pieces. And Texas State was supposed to have Giovanni McCoy start at quarterback. Now he is transferred off elsewhere. So this is very much so a Texas State team that's going to have to find a couple pieces to fit in here. But I still like a lot of the talent that they got. Wide receiver, I think, is solid. Lincoln Pear sat behind Ismail Mahdi, and I think is going to be a really talented piece for this Bobcat offense. And overall, I mean, you take a look at what they did last year. Not a bad first year for G.J. Kinney. He'll have this program take another step forward this upcoming season. South Alabama lost Gio Lopez at quarterback, but they're getting some really solid pieces coming into the program, on top of the fact that I think Major Applewhite is a pretty good head coach. Kentrell Bullock is paired, the running back Kentrell Bullock is going to be paired with a good wide receiver core. Who starts at quarterback? Bishop Davenport, Zach Pyron, probably going to end up being one of those two guys. Ourlads.com right now leans towards Zach Pyron, the transfer, who has never seen a full-time starting role, so we'll see, but South Alabama going to be a team I think beats Southern Miss. However, the Golden Eagles cash out their season with a win here against the Troy Trojans, a team that's going to be physical and play well on the line of scrimmage, but overall, I think Southern Miss has got a lot more talent. So when I predict 3-9 here, guys, I'm even sitting here looking at that and saying, that's low. That is actually quite low. And it is unfortunate that I had the schedule working out that way. That's just the way that my predictions worked out this season. It is not going to surprise me one bit if Charles Huff comes into this program and this is a team. Give me 1 second, actually. I forgot I wanted to do that before I started recording this video. So you take a look at that record range down there, and obviously it can always be worse than what I am predicting. And you do play in a really tough division in the Sun Belt. Your cross-divisional games are not the easiest either. Non-conference schedule, you got to go up against two really good teams at a conference at USA. But here are the facts with Southern Miss. You got a good proven head coach. You have a really good portal class for a program of this standard. It's just the way that I have the schedule working out. I even think that it's low. I'll be honest with you. I think 3 wins is low for this program, and it's not going to satisfy the excitement and the hunger that some Golden Eagle fans are going to have this year. However, I think as this team continues to adjust to Charles Huff, as this team and coaching staff continues to piece everything together, down the line, if not this season, which won't surprise me if it is going to be this year, if this is a team that can really explode and emerge and be a really competitive team in the Sun Belt Conference this year, next year I'd really look at this Golden Eagle team as taking that next step, getting back up the ranks of the Sun Belt and being one of the better group of 5 teams in the country. That's going to do it for this video. Please let me know what you think about the Golden Eagles in the comment section below. And remember to play hard but tailgate harder. Got 14 videos left. See y'all when we complete them. Goodbye.